and welcome to another exciting episode of Nerd Central. I'm your host, Mary Grace Rice, and we have a full show for you guys. We have another installment of Mighty Morphin Madness, a review of Cloverfield Paradox, and E.T. Plus, to get you ready for Black Panther, we have a showdown to see what is the best first MCU standalone film. We have a lot of news to cover this week, so let's start with some movie news. On February 4th, a big game was played. Congrats to the Eagles for scoring more points than the Patriots. But enough about the actual game. We are here to talk about the real reason anybody watches the game, or at least the real reason I do, the commercials, specifically the movie spots. Here are just some of the spots we were treated to. Mission Impossible Fallout, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Avengers Infinity War, and Skyscraper. Lucasfilm must have heard us when we told them that Solo should be the next film to get a trailer. Solo had a 45-second spot during the game and at the end promised a trailer the following day. Early Monday morning after the game, Lucasfilm released a 90-second teaser trailer for the film, giving us a better understanding of what the film is going to be about. Unfortunately, it didn't show us much, but that's just the way Lucasfilm is with their films, particularly Star Wars related films. We don't have to wait that long for Solo, as it is released on May 25th of this year. In other Star Wars related news, we are going to be getting more Star Wars films! Yay! Lucasfilm announced the Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are going to be writing and producing a series of Star Wars films. Lucasfilm's president Kathleen Kennedy said, quote, "David and Dan are some of the best storytellers working today. Their command of complex characters, depth of story, and richness of mythology will break new ground and boldly push Star Wars in ways I find incredibly exciting." End quote. Before Benioff and Weiss start on their Star Wars adventure, they are going to finish the final season of Game of Thrones first. No word on what their films will be centered around, but it won't be tied to the Skywalker saga or Rian Johnson's already announced trilogy of films. Here's hoping for a series about the Old Republic. Alright, guys, enough of the Star Wars news. We all know you love Star Wars, but you can't make the whole show about Star Wars. Again. Now, we are going to take it to my review of the brand new The Cloverfield Paradox. That's right, everybody. Today I'm reviewing the newest Cloverfield movie, The Cloverfield Paradox. This is the third movie in the Cloverfield franchise. It's set in the near future when Earth is going through a massive energy crisis and they are on the brink of war. To solve this problem, a group of international scientists are sent to space to test a particle accelerator said to be 1,000 times stronger than any energy source on Earth, which I guess is why it had to be tested in space. This particle accelerator was made to give Earth infinite energy. However, there are conspiracy theorists who believe this massive amount of energy will create the Cloverfield Paradox. I could explain it, but I'll just let the movie do the talking.
Every time they tested, they risked ripping open the membrane of space-time, smashing together multiple dimensions, shattering reality, and not just on that station, everywhere. This experiment could unleash chaos, the likes of which we have never seen.
Well, spoiler alert, all this stuff happens, and things get weird. Now, I believe this movie was honestly pretty mediocre, however, it did do a couple good things. As far as the good, the movie had some nice shots and cool looking scenes, which kept me interested. I really enjoyed the beginning of the movie. I was intrigued by the idea of the energy crisis and going into space, and I could not wait for stuff to go down. But when that time came, it really went down, which brings me to the things I did not enjoy. So the movie was trying to be dramatic, but there were just so many ridiculous things going on that it honestly made it seem more mediocre than anything. Like, I found myself laughing at some of the scenarios that were unfolding. They were just that unrealistic. For example, in one scene, this guy gets his arm sucked into a wall, and when he pulls it out, his arm is missing. It looks completely fake. And then later you see it crawling on its own out of nowhere, and the guy is still completely fine, which I find I find it really dumb. And this is just one example of many. It's like the makers asked, how many absurd things can we pack into one movie? And they really went for it, without any explanation, which is the next thing I didn't like. So many things are happening for no reason other than to be entertaining. The movie was constantly bringing up questions without giving any answers to the situation, which I found really annoying. Overall, I would give this movie a solid 3. It really wasn't good. The idea was nice, but it was poorly executed. If you are looking to watch a movie where lots of crazy things go down, then this movie might entertain you, but if you are looking for a good story, this is not the movie. Like I said, I thought most of it was ridiculous, but then again, I guess when multiple dimensions are colliding, there really are no rules. This has been Mary Grace reviewing for Nerd Central. Thanks, me. Fun fact, the trailer for the film debuted during the big game, and the movie was on Netflix that night. Some more movie news for you guys. Some movie studios didn't want to fork over the $5 million to be in the big game, so they released trailers after the fact. Let's talk about the two right here. The untitled Deadpool sequel released a new trailer called Meet Cable last week where, you guessed it, you meet Cable with a hint of Deadpool's humor.
What in the actual ass? Dale, why are the visual effects not done? It's a metal arm. It's not like we're trying to remove a mustache. I'll do it myself.
Not much is known about the film, only that Deadpool, Dupinder, Blind Owl, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Vanessa are all returning with Domino and Cable added to the mix. The film is slated to release on May 18th. I really appreciate Deadpool breaking the fourth wall, even in the trailer, and it just really shows who that character is. Now, the other trailer that dropped on us is the first Venom trailer. Not much is known about the film and whether or not it is in fact in the MCU. All we know is that Tom Hardy plays Eddie Brock, who then becomes Venom. The film will be released on October 5th of this year. Man, comic book movies rule the movie theater. We're going to take a short break, but stay tuned as we have our next installment of Mighty Morphin Madness and our review of the all-time classic, E.T. Stick with us.
Deadpool. Nah, just Deadpool.
Welcome back to Nerd Central. We are going to take you straight to Keegan Cooper and Haley Southard's review of E.T. Extraterrestrial.
Since the beginning of time, the question has been asked, are there others among us? Are they humans? Aliens? Space people? And if so, why have we not seen them? Is it still to be discovered, or has it already been? Haley and I bring you something very special this week. This story is filled with action, friendship, and an epic soundtrack. It's a definite must-see.
A story that strikes the heart and leads us to discovery. We bring you a review of the 1982 Steven Spielberg production of E.T., the Extraterrestrial.
In a quiet neighborhood, on a common street, a mystery starts that will begin to answer the questions we've asked for years.
Who is E.T. and why is he here?
A young boy befriends an alien, and together they attempt to send E.T. back to his home planet. E.T., the extraterrestrial, comes to Earth lost and afraid. But what he finds, he will never forget. An adventure begins for E.T. and his friends, and he needs their help. Friends will be made, and love will be shared. But for E.T., he must warn his friends he's made of the signals he has received. They are in grave danger, and E.T. must go home. For if not, the world may be gone. E.T., a movie for the family and friends everywhere. It teaches you that discovery is who we are, and it truly does begin to answer the questions we've asked for years and continue to ask.
I'll be right here.
This production is a combination of hope, fear, and discovery. A movie that keeps on giving and will have you on the edge of your seat every time you watch it. E.T. has one mission. He must phone home, but remember, he will always be here.
Thanks, you guys! Now, let's talk about some TV news. Nickelodeon is rebooting a beloved franchise again. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will be getting a rebooted series titled Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A few weeks ago, we were treated to our first look at each of the Turtles and April O'Neil. The series will mark the first time that April O'Neil will be of African American descent and also mark the first time Leonardo will not be the leader of the team. Raphael will be the oldest, biggest, and leader of the team. No word yet on when the series will begin airing. All we know is that it will air in 2018. Now, the show's design kind of feels really kiddish, and the other shows didn't have this much of a kid feeling except for the one back in the 80s. This move might alienate some of the Turtles fans. In other TV news, one of the highest rated shows on Disney Channel is getting a live action film. Kim Possible What is getting the live action treatment for Disney Channel. The creators of the animated show are writing the movie. The original animated show began airing in 2002 and ran to 2007, garnering 2 animated movies on Disney Channel. No news on casting of the leads, but when we know, we will be sure to pass that information off to you guys. Now, let's take it to the next installment of Mighty Morphin Madness.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we're going to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this episode, I'm going to be talking about another favorite season of mine, and that is Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue debuted on Fox Kids on February 12th, 2000, and it was the 8th season in the Power Rangers franchise. Unlike the seasons before it, this team of Power Rangers were adults that already had careers, and were selected because of their set of skills by the government organization called Lightspeed. The Power Rangers selected were Carter Grayson, a firefighter from the local fire department, Chad Lee, a local lifeguard and marine animal trainer, Joel Rollins, a stunt pilot, Kelsey Winslow, an extreme sports athlete, and finally Dana Mitchell, who was a nurse, and the daughter of the captain of the Lightspeed organization, Captain Mitchell. Instead of evil space villains like the season before it, the villains of this season were evil demons that threatened to take over the city. The city was built on top of an ancient demon burial ground, so that's why they were trying to take over the city. This series of Power Rangers is also the first time the Power Ranger powers and Zords were man-made, and they didn't have any mystic origins like the seasons before it.
Power Rangers? All right.
This season also focused on saving the city and civilians more than previous seasons, I felt. The Zords on multiple occasions were used to help people out of the buildings the demons were destroying, something that we didn't see much in the other seasons. The season debuted the Sixth Ranger like all the other seasons do, which was a Titanium Ranger, and was revealed later to be the captain's son, Ryan Mitchell, who was thought to be dead.
Ryan?
Look who we have here! It's the traitor!
Still playing games, huh?
This is no game. Titanium power!
What separates the Sixth Ranger from the others is that the Titanium Ranger was a new Ranger created for the American season. This Ranger was not featured in the Japanese counterpart, Go-Go 5, This has only been done one more time in the Power Rangers franchise, when a new villain was created for the season Power Rangers Mystic Force. Overall, I really did like the season because it was a refreshing change in the Power Rangers franchise, and the season did a lot of different things, like having the Rangers' identities known from the public from day one, which no other season has really done up to this point, and the Rangers not being high schoolers, which was different. This has been Zach Brown for Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central.
Thanks, Zach. One last bit of news to share with you guys. We got our first look at the Marvel Netflix universe after The Defenders with a member of the team. Season 2 of Jessica Jones debuted its first trailer, and boy, is it dark. The second season will follow Jessica Jones as she investigates her parents' murder, but runs into some trouble along the way. Luckily enough, she has some backup in her friend Trish. The trailer also hinted at the return of Jessica's arch-nemesis, Kilgrave, after, spoilers, his death at the end of Season 1. We won't have to wait too long for the answers, as the second season will debut on Netflix on March 8th. The Marvel Netflix universe has had some setbacks, but for the most part, it has been a welcomed addition to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's going to do it for this week's Nerd Central. Nerd Showdown is next. You can get caught up on all the previous episodes on KNWT's YouTube page. Also follow KNWT on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and follow Nerd Central on Twitter at nerd_central_TV. The best first MCU standalone film will be decided after the break. Stay with us.
Get ready for the Smackdown!
Hello and welcome to Nerd Showdown, the part of Nerd Central where we battle it out on a particular topic we have no business debating. I'm your host, Devin Van Zant, and with the release of Black Panther this week, we asked the question, what is the best first Marvel Cinematic Universe standalone film? That means the first time an MCU character has had their own film, even after appearing in another film first. Keep in mind, our fighters will be diving deep into their respective films, so this is your spoiler warning. Let's introduce our fighters. To my right, I have Nerdmageddon on-air personality, Coralie Herzog. Corey, which film have you chosen?
Captain America, First Avenger.
To my left, I have the Northwest Missourian reporter, James Howie. James, which film have you chosen?
I chose Doctor Strange.
The rules are simple. Each competitor will have a 2-minute opening statement during which they must only talk about the good things in their film. In round 2, each competitor will have 90 seconds to cross-examine their opponent's film. If they do not comply with these rules in round 1 or 2, I have the right to stop them and inform them that they have forfeited the rest of their time. For round 3, both competitors will have 60 seconds for a closing argument where they recap anything they said in the first 2 rounds and may also bring new facts to help their argument. After that, yours truly will decide who walks away the victor based solely on the arguments made during the showdown. Now that that's out of the way, let's showdown!
Let's all get wicked. Put your hands in the sky for a one-way ticket. Come on, everybody, gonna start this party. If we turn it to 11, then we can't go.
All right, Corey, your time begins now.
So, Captain America, First Avenger, you couldn't even have any of the MCU movies without this movie starting. It has strong side characters, strong leading characters. We could see a wonderful transition from a small little Chris to big Chris as far as muscles go. Peggy Carter, I mean, like, who can deny Peggy Carter? We also get to see, you know, Tony Stark's lineage, like where his hatred for Captain America comes from. We get to just see, like, pretty much the entire setup for MCU in this movie. And plus, it's just a fun family film. We get to just really enjoy, you know, what makes Captain America so great. We get to see that beautiful, beautiful shield that is so iconic. And yeah, like, it's a great film. And again, like, it's a phenomenal cast. We get to see Chris Evans, you know, just transition from another movie over to here. And I think that, you know, it does a beautiful job just setting up the entire universe. Captain America, he is the first, and he is the greatest.
All right, good argument from Corey. James, It's your turn. Let's build up Doctor Strange.
To me, it debunks a lot of what the superhero genre does and what people think. So many people want to say that, oh, a superhero ending is just a guy, fighting people and, just, action. At the end of Doctor Strange, he has to win by using his mind and, the eye of Agamotto by, forcing Dormammu to go away by that, and not by, how strong he is or any of that. He uses his mind, and that is amazing to me. He willingly dies, thousands of times. And it's amazing because at the beginning of that movie, you really don't like him. They have to build his character up more to me because you do not like him. And he is at rock bottom when he goes to see the Ancient One. And that's also Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. She is amazing. She is just absolutely so good in that movie. It is just, it's amazing. To me, it opened up doors with, the multiverse. It looks great. How he uses it's just so good, all of it. It's one of my favorite superhero movies.
All right, we've heard arguments from both sides. Now we're going to tear down movies. Corey, you're up first again, and your time starts now.
Okay, so Doctor Strange, you have to watch it a few times to understand what happens. And I don't know, maybe it was just me, but it just didn't work. The costuming was subpar. Some of the visual effects were lacking, to say the least. Not to mention that the Ancient One was supposed to be an Asian dude, not a white woman. The guy who was trying to bring Dartmouth, again, he was just subpar and lacking as a villain. Darmu, he was just, ugh.
A strongly worded attack from Corey. James, let's see what you can come back with.
I mean, I'll be honest, I can't say that much bad about Captain America, but what I can say is that you use it started everything. That's not true. Iron Man did. When people talk about what started the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they say Iron Man.
We have reached the final round of our competition. Now each of our contestants will have 60 seconds to wrap up their argument and convince me that their movie is the best standalone film. Again, we'll start with Corey. Corey, your time starts now.
Captain America, again, it sets up everything, not Iron Man, because without Captain America, being created, for lack of a better word, we wouldn't be able to have Iron Man. We wouldn't be able to have any of these amazing cinematic movies. English is hard. And, without Captain America, you wouldn't be able to have Doctor Strange.
All right, James, it's your turn to wrap up. Let's see what you got for me.
As years go on, it doesn't have the staying power of other Marvel cinematic movies that some do, like Doctor Strange and other movies.
That's going to do it for this week's Showdown. And although we had lively debate from both sides, this week's winner is James.
Well, I appreciate getting the win on the show. It's a real honor.
You can head to Nerd Central's Twitter to show your support for this week's Showdown. Nerdmageddon is coming up next. And speaking of Nerdmageddon, catch them every Thursday live on KNWT's Facebook page or on X106 KZLX. See you next week for more Nerd Central.
I wasn't supposed to do that, was I?
Audio guide, you have everybody muted but Corey, right? Under protest, I've made a decision. Because you need to have everybody muted but who's talking.
Thank you all for watching this episode of Nerd Central. If you want to watch last week's episode, you can click right here. To watch Nerdmageddon's last episode, click right there. And if you like all of KNWT's content, then click the subscribe button right over there. See you guys next week.